Hololive is Covercorp's idol agency that produces and manages animated virtual idols, also known as Vtubers. Much like an entertainment agency for YouTubers or Twitch streamers, Hololive hires talents who provide personalities and content. In return, Hololive provides the talents with financial and marketing support, as well as other tools the talents might not have access to normally if they worked independently. However, unlike normal entertainment companies, VTuber agencies also provide a character for the talent, aka the soul, to perform as. These characters not only provide anonymity for the talent, but also marketability for the company. It also allows the company to establish a cohesive fantasy world that the characters can interact in through projects such as Hololive Alternative, Hololive's upcoming manga. However, just like with any entertainment agency, there are rules and regulations the talents must follow to preserve the company's image and secure partnerships. Would you be interested in working with a company like Hololive? Let me know in the comments below. We often accredit VTubers to Japan because virtual idols like Hatsune Miku, but did you know the concept of VTubing actually began in the US? Before the creation of VTubers as we know them, many American and Japanese content creators were already representing themselves through personas as early as 2010. Personas were and are essentially the 2000s equivalent of VTubers, original characters that would represent an account such as YouTube, Tumblr, or DeviantArt, and the content posted to them. Many content creators still choose to use personas today, but many have also switched to VTubing models to interact with their audience in new and creative ways. Do you know any YouTubers who use personas? Make scripted content. No, VTubers also make scripted videos. Is it that VTubers use live animated models? Not really that one either. Some VTubers will use static images for their live content and only use animated models for fully edited videos. So what is the difference? Honestly, it's just the time period and technology. Up until the late 2010s, we didn't really have full face and body tracking readily available. The only thing that sets VTubing apart from personas is personas are often edited into content post-filming rather than being implemented simultaneously while recording. If personas didn't already exist in the YouTube space prior to VTubers, I don't think we ever would have had VTubers as we know them now. Which is why I think it's so important to credit personas with the concept of VTubing. Okay, this is the last one, I promise. But after getting this fascinating question on Twitter, I just had to talk about it. What is the difference between a VTuber/persona and a fictional character? TV, movie, video game, or even book characters can represent people's ideas and are brought to life by various personalities, much like VTubers and personas. But what sets them apart from VTubers and personas is the fourth wall. Our position as viewers in these situations is an observational one. We are looking in and have no direct effect in the world the characters are living in. We are but passive bystanders who experience the world through those characters rather than experiencing it alongside them. However, we exist in the same world as VTubers and personas. There isn't a fourth wall between us. Even if their content is scripted, the audience existence plays a role, because we're all a part of the same world. We can comment, share our ideas, information, and communicate to each other. And that's the difference. I hope it makes sense. In a previous video, I mentioned the first official VTuber Kazuna Ai and the concept of VTubing pre-existing her birth. This seemed to bother some people who seemed to believe that discussion of this topic was undermining the VTuber's influence, which is simply not true. Kazuna's influence on the VTubing community is still maintained even when recognizing the many roots that inspired her creation. However, the experience made me realize how little some fans understand all the intricate details and pieces of how Kazuna and VTubing came to be. So to help preserve a little bit of internet history, I've decided to make a series that discusses the lead-up and current existence of Kazuna Ai. Not only are Kazuna Ai's origins unique in and of themselves, but so is her overall continued presence in the YouTubing community. My main goal with this series will be to bring to light the multiple forces that contributed to Kazuna, as Kazuna is not just the idea of one person, but rather a collaborative effort of many people over years of technical development and hard work. So stay tuned to learn more. Before addressing the birth of Kazuna, we must take a look at the landscape that sculpted her creation. In a previous video, I discussed the influence of personas, but now I'd like to inspect some of the Japanese media that influenced her creation. Since the 1950s, anime characters have always been a profitable marketing tool. This really took off in the 2000s with the growth of kawaii culture, and Japan quickly found it could blur the lines between fiction and reality through animated idols. In the 2010s, inspired by the debut of Hatsune Miku in 2007, idol animes such as Pretty Rhythm, The Idolmaster, and Love Live began to hit their stride. However, animating an idol took a lot of time and money. 3D animation would help lighten the load, but there were still many limitations. With body tracking, this was no longer an issue. You could suddenly have all the benefits of a fictional idol and mix it with the cost-cutting benefits of a real one. In my next video, I plan to talk about how face rig played a part in this, so stay tuned! We've talked about YouTube personas and we've talked about animated idols, but there's one more major piece to the puzzle leading up to the creation of Kazuna Ai, the technology behind her. With the development of motion capture in the film industry, it was only a matter of time before the technology was made available to the consumer market. This is where Holotech came in. In December of 2013, Holotech, the company behind FaceRig, presented its program to the world via Indiegogo and suggested the technology could be used for LARPing and general content creation on sites like Twitch. Within 10 days, the project was fully funded, and by the campaign's end raised $200,000 more than their original goal. Having reached their goal, the program then proceeded to make its official release in the summer of 2015, and was quickly put into use by Twitch streamers such as Beyond Manny, who chose to represent himself as a Shiba. With this final piece, the stage for Kazuna was set. In my next TikTok, we'll discuss what set Kazuna Ai apart from the forming landscape, as well as what continues to make her a unique VTuber. When talking about the behind-the-scenes and history of Kazuna Ai, it is important to first recognize a few things. The first being that much like Hatsune Miku, Kazuna Ai has always been a product rather than a singular being. A cute idol mascot combined with the appealing illusion of a YouTube personality that has been developed mainly for marketability. To some, this might seem like a negative thing, but honestly, I think it's what makes Kazuna Ai so unique to her competition. Today, when we think of VTubers, we think of them as a face given exclusively to one soul who is responsible for the entirety of that face's personality and work. Kazuna, on the other hand, is the fully produced personality created and forged by an entire team. This, of course, comes with a lot of benefits. By not being attached to just one person, Kazuna is able to exist past her soul. That's not to say her soul doesn't put pieces of themselves into Kazuna, but it does mean that when analyzing her, it's important to keep in mind that no one person makes up Kazuna alone. Understanding this fully recognizes the amount of work and planning that truly went into her birth. When creating a VTuber model, there is a lot you have to be conscious of, but did you know jiggle physics is one of them? In the summer of 2020, Cover, the production company behind Hololive, made the decision to remove jiggle physics from their idol's 3D models. They also made design alterations to the model of Kira Coco, all to comply with YouTube's TOS for monetization. Production group Bishoujo also encountered similar issues on Twitch. In order to comply, member Hajime temporarily covered herself with a Bible to avoid bans. Will you be including jiggle physics in your model? Actually, did you know anyone can be a VTuber? Cover Corp, the same production company behind Hololive, has an all-male group called Holo Stars. They're not as well known as the main Hololive cast yet, but you can often find them collabing with Hololive Indonesia. Niji Sanji, another VTuber production company similar to Hololive, also has a very large and diverse range of male VTubers as part of their cast. However, if that's still not enough, take the time to do some searches. There are lots of indie male VTubers to choose from across all social platforms such as Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and even right here on TikTok. Please take the time to check them out and to learn more. Especially take time to check out TikTok's very own Frost. Great question! When a VTuber graduates, it means their soul, aka the person behind them, is no longer going to continue making content as that character. The term is actually fairly old and is something passed down from the Japanese idol industry. When an idol gets too old or is ready to move on, the company they work for will say he or she is graduating as a nicer way to say they are leaving. The term was coined in the 1980s by an all-girl group called the Onyako Club. Two of its most popular members were leaving to focus on new careers, so their producer created a song called Jane to celebrate them leaving. The song is themed around school graduation and the feeling of saying goodbye to friends before stepping out into the real world. Naturally, the song was a smash hit and the nostalgic feeling it created really stuck out in the public's mind. It also benefited the idol's company as it allowed them to hold going-away events to bring in extra income. Following that event, graduating became an idol tradition, which is why VTubers use it today. Now that you mention it, there are quite a few. Welcome to a newbie's guide to VTuber terminology. I'm your host, Aurora the Ram, here to help you translate all that mysterious VTuber lingo. Let's start at the bare-bone basics. Model. The model is the moving image that uses body tracking to show the audience the talent's movement. Rigging. Rigging is the programmed animations that allow a body tracking program to animate the model in real time. Mama or Papa. The mama or papa is the artist who designed and or rigged the model. Soul. A soul refers to the talent who gives a VTuber their voice and personality. Production company. A company that produces and manages virtual idols such as VShojo, Nichisanji, or Hololive. Indie, a VTuber who isn't attached to a production company. For more VTuber terminology, stick around for part 2! Welcome back to a newbie's guide to VTuber terminology. I'm your host, Aurora the Ram, here to help you translate that mysterious VTuber lingo. Let's jump right into it. Debut! A debut is a VTuber's first official appearance as a virtual entertainer. This is an event held by the VTuber where they officially introduce themselves and the content they want to make to the public. Pre-debut. Pre-debut is a state of preparation where the VTuber prepares for their debut by focusing on marketing and building an audience until they are officially ready to introduce themselves to the internet as an online personality. Re-debut. An event that a VTuber holds to reveal major changes such as, but not limited to, an updated model to the public. Generation or wave. A generation, aka Gen, or wave is a group of VTubers who debuted around the same time from the same company. Skeb. Skeb is a Japanese website dedicated to helping creators meet artists who they can hire to make commissions of their original characters. Commissions purchased from the site are also referred to as Skebs. How many VTuber terms did you know?